Yeah, there's just so many here on your list.
You're going to talk about
Right.
shit. You can talk about whatever you want.
All right. Well, don't start with me.
I won't. I got to remember who's here. Okay. This is the What's Neat This Week podcast for September 23rd, 2017. This is podcast number 11. Tonight we've got a whole bunch of things to talk about. I know I always start out that way, but I got to mention that we've got Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply as a sponsor for this weekly podcast. You'll know Jeff Otto as the gentleman that makes these beautiful track jigs for building pre-hand laid track that is then ready to be put onto the layout. And these jigs help facilitate that greatly. So check out the website for Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply. It is ohrtracksupply.com. And I've got tonight Michael Budde with me. I've got Dennis Norris. And of course, Daniel Coombs. And I'm Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat monthly show over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. And I am going to throw it over to you, Mike, because how was your week, buddy?
Good. Finally got a chance to get a few new cars. I'm really impressed with these scale trains and tangent, both 4180s and 4566 air slide hoppers. I mean, this is something that we've needed a model of for a long time. There have been some attempts in the past to do it, but they were pretty crude. You know, maybe not by the standards of when they were built, but these upgraded cars are just unbelievable.
And one thing I did notice on the scaled trains, rivet counter car that we have here, the roller bearings roll.
Yeah.
And they're not just sitting there like I think a lot of manufacturers have done.
These roller bearings actually turn the
So
journals.
these are both the same car?
Nice.
No, this is a little smaller. That's the tangent car, and this is the scale trains.
Interesting.
Higher
Tangent's,
capacity.
yeah. Tangent is earlier car built in the mid-60s, 4180. And then after like 1980, they went to, or 1978, I think they went to the larger capacity 4566. So these are just both immaculate, just spectacular models. I love them both.
Beautiful models. I've got to say hats off and thank you to Anna's school bus driver the other day when I was getting Anna off the school bus. He gave me some flowers. Randy Parks, thank you for the flowers. How does the school bus driver know that we like trains?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they watch the show.
That could be.
What do you got going on, Daniel?
All right. Well, from not being here on last week's podcast because I was at an operating session at Bryan Post House in Lee, Missouri. But I also want tonight to talk about an operating session I attended of, I think, two Tuesdays ago. A guy named John Schindler's layout, the St. Louis Junction Railroad Company. And his layout is basically set in the 1990s that models St. Louis area railroads to Madison, Illinois, East St. Louis, Illinois. And he has two sides of staging, east and west. But basically the layout goes around the main parts of St. Louis, like 12th Street Yard, and then goes through MacArthur Bridge block, and then it goes to East St. Louis Madison Yard, which is actually the main hub of his railroad.
This is a nice layout.
So the session I attended, I was a part of a switch crew. So I basically had an Alton and Southern MP15 DC locomotives that I was switching out grain elevator, Coop Industries, and Cameron on his layout at East St. Louis. So I basically had to pull all the grain cars out of the elevator, pull them in a string, and then shuttle around the different industrial parts on the siding track, pull those cars, and then I would take the load up to Madison Yard, where I would then wait for the yardmaster to give me clearance. I pulled in, and then I brought a string of cars back to East St. Louis, and then switch them out until the end of the session in the evening. So, and one thing he did have new, which was getting his signaling system up and running using Digitrax hardware, SE8C, the BDL168, and detection systems where he can run JMRI on his computer, and basically just tested it out because he himself just said, I'm going to try this tonight on myself, and I think we did an okay job. And it just brings more of that realism with having that signaling system on there. So, you know, if a train's coming within the block, you can just look on the layout and be like, oh, okay, here's a red signal. I just need to stop and wait for it to turn green.
That's pretty awesome.
Cool. Sounds good.
Man, your knowledge blows me away, Daniel.
Yeah, the things they're coming up with.
This is the youth. The youth that
kids.
doesn't exist out there, remember?
Yeah,
The hobby's dying. Nonsense.
Yep.
You are the hobby, Daniel.
Glad to hear that.
Dennis Norris. Now, Dennis Norris is in the October What's Neat video at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine, and there he talks about a lot of the videotape that he shot back in the 80s here in St. Louis, and he was an avid rail fan at the time, but he's got another video that he's gotten some material from the 70s, about an hour and a half of great material. Dennis, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. This DVD features railroads in St. Louis in the 1970s. It's basically centered on, every railroad is shown, but it's basically centered on the Missouri Pacific and the Frisco. Locations all over St. Louis area, Valley Park, Kirkwood, locations in Illinois like Bixby Junction, Granite City, Mitchell. Features Amtrak, early Amtrak. One of the Missouri Pacific bicentennial units are shown. Nice. It's really, really nice video. And it's live sound. It's not dubbed. It's live audio.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be released and actually sold first through the Missouri Pacific Historical Society.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've got some of that footage maybe on an old VHS tape or something. But it's
about 20 years ago, the gentleman that actually shot this footage is a retired Alton & Southern engineer.
Right.
Him and his dad did that, and we decided to put some of it out on VHS tapes, and we did pretty well with those.
Yeah.
But with the modern DVD era, it's a lot
technology,
smaller. Put it on a disc and
cleaning stuff up.
Exactly, and we were able to actually do a little bit more editing to the quality of the color, and make it look a lot nicer.
All right. Well, I'm already signed up for that.
Oh yeah,
I can't wait to see it. Quite frankly, that stuff is really neat, and you can't go back and get it.
Right.
That's right.
And this is all off of 16/8. It's off of actual photography.
Actual
if you know what I'm saying, not video,
camera.
right?
Yeah.
Which amazes me
to
because,
video.
to my surprise, all my video from the 80s, from the Midwest Valley Modelers layout, is still good. I went through that the other day, so I can screen capture a lot of that, and I think I'm going to come out with a full-length DVD, or a download on kenpatterson.com of how to start a model railroad club and talk about the Midwest Valley Modelers, its inception, its progress through its 12 or 14 years of life before I disposed of the layout and built this home layout down here. I do want to talk about Tim Runnels, again, from Proto 87 Stores. He sent us this beautiful footage of a tank train running through gorgeous California again. Now, this main line is just outside of their office building there where Tim works with the folks from Central Valley. And I just love it when he gets footage like this, Mike. This looks just like the new Athearn N-scale cars that are about to come out, the tank train cars that I understand I'm going to be receiving for photography very soon. And when I do, we'll get to all see those on the show for the very first time.
Yeah, why not just make a little run by on your little N-scale loop on that shelf over there?
I think we need to build an N-scale layout. I'm pretty sure that's coming because we need something to do some run-bys. I know we're going to build an outdoor layout, if that makes any sense, because we need something where there's a loop to do these Athearn run-bys.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that I really miss about Bachman was the fact that whenever I worked jobs for them, there was such variety in the work. The ON30, the large scale, these gorgeous, look at these K27s down here. There's 2,000 pieces in each locomotive. I know because I took one apart one time. And it's just absolutely amazing, the diversity of products that manufacturer offers the industry. I've been cleaning out my old dioramas in the storage area, and I threw away a lot of the old ON30 and large-scale dioramas this week, and I was kind of brokenhearted about it, but I got to tell you, the neighbors took them, so they went to a good home. They're going to be appreciated. Yeah. But folks, they needed a lot, of work, so I don't feel sorry for them. One man's trash is, a lot of work.
Another man's trash.
Exactly.
Now, Nick Masney from ITLA Scale Models sent us these beautiful flat card decks, guys. What do you think about this? Now, this looks like it's laser cut and pre-weathered.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, I like those.
And how much did these retail again? Because it looks like with laser cut material and it to be pre-weathered.
I don't know what the price is, but you can look it up at ITL Scale Models on the internet. Yeah. ImagineThatArt.com is the website for this.
And this
but you can Google it too.
Oh, sorry, but this is something I'd probably buy.
62-foot bulkhead flat.
Remember when Intermountain came out with those on flat cars?
Yeah.
Those are the ones I used to do all of those construction vehicles when I had that Volvo account about 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Volvo in Sweden was in my time schedule. When I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning working, it was 9 o'clock there. They were ready to go, and so was I. So that was a nice account to have. Yep. Volvo in Sweden, that was an experience. Now we've got October's What's Neat coming out at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine probably this week. And in that video, you'll be able to watch Thomas
Heil.
Thomas Heil, show us the DCS 240 update off of the Digitrax website, and kind of what I'll go into a little background on that. I had Soundtrax out here, and we were making 7 videos one weekend. We had them all scheduled in, and we were trying to get F11 to work on my throttle, and something wasn't working right. And I thought about a month before it wasn't working, but I thought maybe it was my fault. I was doing something wrong. And after George said, no, something's messed up here, thank goodness that Digitrax has got function mapping. The diversity of the Digitrax system allows you with function mapping to change F11, 12, and 10 to 4, 5, and 6, or any other number on the pad if you want. And George is smart. He knew how to do that. And so he worked his way around it. We got the videos all completed on time. I called Digitrax the next day, and they said, oh, no, there's a patch on our website that if there's anything that we discover that's an improvement to the system, similarly to what Microsoft does, you just go onto the website and do that. So Thomas Heil shows us how to do that in this October's video. And then Jason Quinn comes by and shows us 3 beautiful tangent freight cars that he weathered, Pennsylvania Railroad X58 cars. And
nice.
Yeah, I know. He tells us about his weathering on those. Dennis Norris, of course, stops by and shows us some of the video clips out of his videos and talks about the Midwest Valley Modelers layout, which I really like talking about. We also announced on the show the GoFundMe account for the very first time in October's show. And I know that seems like a bit of a lag because it's been 7 or 4 weeks since we started that. But you got to figure the What's Neat show, I'm ahead about 2 months on that show. So when you see the What's Neat show, you're looking at material from 30 days out to 60 days out. And so that's why there's that delay on the GoFundMe. And then, of course, our sponsor for this podcast, Jeff Otto, comes by, and we get our hands dirty. I put him to the test. We take his track jigs and we actually build a real live layout scenario where they get used. We use a double crossover, we use a single turnout, and some of the straight track sections. And it really came out good because we tested it in the heat, in the sun. I put it through the test and it held up great. His material works, his track works, and so Jeff Otto shows us how to build a complete scene using all of that.
Like 8 hours to get down here, doesn't he?
Where does he live exactly?
Like
he's up around the Milwaukee, Minneapolis area.
Are you kidding me? And he
drives down
14
here.
hours.
Yeah.
He looks forward to it. I'll have what he's having.
Yeah.
Jeff's a great guy. I like Jeff because he smiles a lot. And because he's a sponsor for the show, he's going to be on our first dollar bill hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a smiling dollar bill.
Yeah.
So I look forward to making that little art
Thanks
project.
for coming down here all the time, Jeff. That's pretty cool.
I'm looking at the clock, and we still got 6 minutes to go. What else have you been working on your own personal stuff, Mike? I know you were telling me you've been doing some stuff.
I haven't really been doing that much in HO. This is hopefully going to inspire me. And I also got some, I've spent some money today on those Just Plug lights from Woodland Scenics. I got one little area of my layout that isn't really detailed with lights or anything. It's right when you first walk in the door. So I think I might try some of these new lights in that area. Try and get my interest sparked up in HO.
Now, you modeled the little side streets of St. Louis, the South Side Dutch German neighborhoods, the brick brownstones.
Yeah.
Is that the area that you're describing that you'll be lighting?
Yeah. I want to put some street lights in there and some lights in the buildings, and then that car dealership that I have.
I would love to get a camera in your basement sometime. Do you think What's Neat can visit Mike's basement sometime?
We'll see. We'll see if I can make arrangements.
Be a lot of great footage. Now, Dennis, you used to own a hobby shop in town, and it's always been good to go to you when it comes to business information because you always had a good sense for business. That was a great shop, man. You want to talk about that a little bit?
One-stop hobby shop. Yeah, out in O'Fallon. Before that, we were in St. Peter's. And, we weren't real big, but we specialized in trains, and especially HO.
You got a lot of stuff, like a lot of local Midwestern roads.
Midwestern roads.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially the Midwestern roads.
Right.
You know, especially a lot of the fallen flags.
Yeah.
So, but we had people from all over the country come by and visit, check out our inventory, and look around and see what kind of treasures we had found.
It was a neat place. I used to enjoy coming up there. It was just nice to just get out and it was quiet. And you could look at the stuff. I remember going up there and seeing those beautiful Conrail Athearn engines right when the SD70s first broke the market. And I mean, that was the flagship for Athearn. Do you remember when those came out? I mean, that was the next chapter for detail. I really think we had scale handrails on those for the first time. We had dimensionally correct hoods. And they had auto-changeable, interchangeable. Right, where they're starting to get road specific. Do you remember the blue box days?
Oh yeah.
The Athearn wide
Definitely.
cabs, and we would cut them down and body putty them narrower. And hey, Stripe, welcome to the show.
Wide
But
So-
those days are gone. Those are the old days. And now the fidelity of what we've got due to computer technology and the technology of the manufacturing process.
the quality,
I'm
yes.
spoiled.
Right.
I still don't know the names of what the engines are past the SD90 Mac. That's pretty much where I lost
I
it.
never even made it that far. I never made it past the Jeeps.
And then
The
see
Jeeps
you,
and
yeah.
you just
SDs.
didn't come to me because I'm the
here's your
youth,
man.
so I'm the modern.
Yeah.
What episode of What's
Okay.
Neat was it where we had our Gomez-Adams moment and I did a head-on collision?
We would have it June 2016.
How does he know everything like that?
I-
June 2016, I thought I was going to get fired by Blackstone Models because I
And
took their
Athearn.
beautiful... No, Athearn was good. They had the DD40s. They were on the winning side.
Oh, yeah.
But those DD40s wiped that beautiful little right out of the picture like a chalkboard, and they kept going without hesitation. And it was shock video. I was just trying to create a little shock video because I had just laid the narrow gauge track down with a standard gauge, and all of a sudden I could. And it didn't break anything. No animals were hurt in this
Didn't
demonstration.
damage those little.
Yeah, no, viewer discretion is advised. I want to rerun that in What's Neat sometime. And that reminds me of another thing. There's a What's Neat video that ran December, I know the date of this one, December 2015. We ran the Dremel 3D printer in that episode. But Joe Fugate asked me to do the history of my photography and the work that I did. You'll find that in the December 2015 What's Neat video. You were in there because you inspired me with the oil paint weathering, and I said that in that video.
Oh, yeah.
I went through
yeah.
18 or 22 years of my career of doing photography in that video.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of folks haven't watched it because the current What's Neats are getting close to 50,000 views a month, and that one's still around 22,000. So check that video out for you guys that like to go through the archive of the What's Neat videos over there at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. I don't know
Yep.
how I got started on that. But
Yeah.
you made me think of that just when you saying what you said there.
Yeah.
Daniel, what else you thinking today?
Not well, actually, I want to give kudos to Dirk Reynolds and Larry Horn last week, Queenie Park. They were able to get me some Pacific Fruit Express 57-foot mechanical refrigeration units because I am trying to create my own PFE train, which
yeah.
I might touch base with Chris Palmera's.
Those are nice. Yeah, remember those? Those
Yeah.
orange reefers, mechanical
Right, those were
reefers?
pretty good models.
Yeah, and I gotta-
1965, 68, something
Right.
like that?
And then that's a train. I don't know how I got inspired. I was at Belleville Train Show over in Illinois, and guy is selling a bunch of freight cars, and I come upon a PFE train because I personally model UP and its merger, Southern Pacific, Missouri Pacific, the Chicago Northwestern, and a little bit of the Denver and Rio Grande Western. But the fact is that I was looking at this car, and for $8, I was like, that's a pretty nice looking car. I put it on the track, and it's like, okay, I love it. I need to get more to expand my fleet. I've also was able to put a Soundtrax decoder into it to have the mechanical refrigeration sound, the clickety-clack
I think
noise.
those things are really
Yeah.
realistic.
But it had
those
to take a
sound
lot
cars.
of engineering to drill holes for the speaker and to drill with the, oh gosh. You did a one Blackstone video on using those Katie No. 5 box springs for powering your wheels.
Oh, that
left
worked.
and
For
right.
wipers? Oh, what a cool trick that
Oh,
was.
that's a
What
neat
video was that in, Daniel? That video
I have
is
to
on the
add it on
Soundtrax website on how to put the
He's
sound
gonna
card
stump him
decoder
on
in
one
the
of these.
HON 30 boxcar, which was a really cool video because I really enjoyed the editing on that project
Yeah.
because it took you through the process. It took me maybe 4 hours to do the install, to learn and go through it, but on video you do it in like 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just absolutely, it makes it look so easy to see it on video as compared to when we used to write magazine articles for the still press. And you had one picture and you're writing a paragraph of text and you're trying to explain so many different things with one photograph because you couldn't have 40 photographs in there. On the internet, you can have 40 photographs, and we can have another 6 minutes or 8 minutes of video that walk you through the process. I love this format of how to teach and how to encourage people that this is a wonderfully easy hobby, and it's fun. And
Definitely.
you meet great people.
Yeah, it's the hobby is, again, there's no restrictions. Your world, do whatever you wish you want to do.
Yeah.
I love it. It's the best. It's
true.
one of the best hobbies in the world.
Yep.
I mean, I
yeah.
enjoyed so much the Midwest Valley and all the friends that we're now meeting through this multimedia adventure
Right.
that we're on.
People
This
on
new-
Facebook.
People all over the
Yeah.
this new adventure that we are taking. And another thing that we're going to add to the show is not only are we going to do the weekly podcast, which is getting easier and easier every time we do this, but we're also going to do a 2-hour long audio-only podcast once we get the studio set up and in place, so that we can actually go through every single reader email, because there's 75 of them. And if you spent a minute on each one, there's an hour and a half. So I could really see eating up some time, but on the other hand, absolutely being hands-on with regards, because I even forgot to get the reader feedback before the show. Chris is I know I'm in trouble now. I will say this, the Garden Railroad, if it helps, is really in disarray. It's beautiful outside, but the weeds and everything else, I have not run trains in 2 years. And my hope is, after the weather cools off this fall, to really hit it hard in November, fill in the rest of the trestle, put some clear coat on both decks, and finish it off out there, make it nice so we can sit out there and do a podcast from outside on the deck.
Oh, that will be nice.
And it'll be a good setup.
Oh my gosh, that'd be like Hollywood right there.
We did that with the Caboose interview with Kevin Rubel at Caboose, and I had a lot of birds in the background, but the next time we do it, we'll have lapel mics on each one of us, and I'll have shotgun mics on us for backup, so we'll pretty much eliminate the birds.
Do we all have to have lapels now?
It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be fun. I don't know what to say to that. That's the last thing on my list. We got one. We have I don't know if I'm going to say it or not. The What's Neat show, I think we're about to get a new drone pilot. I'm in negotiations with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too much into that right now because I can't even show you a clip of it yet. But trust me, it's total eye candy. And if I get this, we are going to have some nice 2-minute drone segments coming up in a few shows and refer people over to this gentleman's website as a thank you. Because again, this is something that we're all doing for fun because we're all model railroaders. This is sort of our job. And we're going to order pizzas after we're done with this. Thank you very much, Jeff Otto, for that.
Yeah, thanks
and
to John
we're at our
Dietzen
time limit here. I know we're already past.
Our past drone
John
footage.
Dietzen was our drone pilot for past episodes.
Oh my gosh, you had modeling ideas from above was the topic.
That's
where
it.
He would take his drone up. I think he lives in Michigan somewhere,
right?
Where I think former Grand Trunk and Western lines.
Holly, Michigan is where.
Okay.
So anyway, we got to get with
It's
him
amazing the footage that we get from the drones because all of the answers to the modeling questions are right there in that footage.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a model.
Right.
So you look at it, you see it, and you duplicate it. All the answers are there.
Yep. Right.
It's something that we had when the courtroom models I used to go for court all the time for BNSF Railroad. Those guys would take me up in a helicopter, and I think that set them back like $1,400 every time we went up.
Now you don't need that
But
anymore.
and it was hard. I wore a white jacket one time, so all the lights reflecting back on me, and the guy's like, "Oh, you can open up the door if you want." No.
My seatbelt on.
That's another story. But I'll tell you what, I think we were going to draw this one to a close. We want to thank Jeff Ottos for the pizza tonight, Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply. Check out their website. It's a beautiful website, and you can get all of these products through Caboose Hobbies in Denver. All the products that are mentioned on the What's Neat show at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine will be included in that because he is now our new sponsor for that show. I want to thank Kevin Rubel very much for sponsoring the What's Neat show. I've got Dennis Norris, Michael Budde, Daniel Coombs, Stripe, and myself, Ken Patterson, and I want to thank you very much for watching.